The rain started without warning, the kind that turns city lights into trembling reflections and makes even confident people feel small. I was already tired, hands smelling of grease, toolbox rattling in the trunk as I drove home after a long shift, when I saw her standing on the side of the road. Hazard lights blinking like a quiet cry for help. She was pacing, phone pressed to her ear, then lowering it in frustration. I almost drove past, almost, but something about the way she looked at the dark sky, like she was bargaining with fate itself, made me slow down. I pulled over, stepped out into the rain, and that single decision became the moment my life quietly changed. She looked surprised when I approached, then relieved, like someone who had been holding their breath for too long. Her name was Aisha. She laughed nervously and said, "I know this sounds dramatic, but today was not supposed to go like this. I'm on my way to a blind date." The car wouldn't start, the engine coughing like it had finally given up. I told her I was a mechanic, offered to take a look. As I worked, rain soaking my jacket, she stood nearby holding the flashlight, apologizing again and again for the trouble. I told her sometimes trouble is just life asking us to slow down. While my hands worked, our words filled the space between us. She talked about how hard it was to trust people after being disappointed so many times. How she almost canceled the date because she didn't believe in surprises anymore. I listened, really listened, and for a moment the rain didn't feel cold. The problem turned out to be simple, a loose connection, something small that had caused so much stress. When the engine finally roared back to life, she clapped her hands like a child and smiled at me with a warmth I hadn't felt directed at me in years. She insisted on paying me, but I shook my head. "Just drive safe," I said. She paused, looked at me with that same thoughtful expression, then said softly, "Your reward is a kiss. We'll meet again." Before I could respond, she leaned in, kissed my cheek, and laughed, half shy, half brave. Then she got into her car and drove off into the rain, leaving me standing there, heart pounding, wondering if moments like that were meant to be remembered or forgotten. Days passed, then weeks. Life went back to its usual rhythm. Work, home, sleep. Sometimes, when fixing a car late at night, I'd think of her. I told myself it was just a strange, sweet encounter, nothing more. People come and go, but fate, I learned, has a stubborn memory. One evening, my phone rang from an unknown number. Her voice was instantly familiar. She said the blind date had been polite, forgettable, and that she couldn't stop thinking about the man who helped her in the rain and asked for nothing in return. We started meeting for tea, then dinners that stretched into long walks. She told me about her fears, I told her about my quiet life, about how I'd learned to keep expectations low to avoid disappointment. There were challenges, misunderstandings, moments where it seemed easier to walk away. She was scared of getting attached, and I was scared of hoping too much. But every time we talked honestly, every time we chose to listen instead of leaving, something healed a little inside both of us. One night, months later, we stood on that same road where her car had broken down. It wasn't raining this time. She smiled and said, "Funny how a broken car fixed more than just an engine." I realized then that life doesn't always change with grand plans or perfect timing. Sometimes it changes when you stop for a stranger, when you choose kindness without expecting a reward, when you believe that small moments can grow into something meaningful. If this story touched you even a little, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps these stories reach more hearts that might need them. And remember this, every act of kindness, no matter how small, carries the power to change a life. You never know who you're helping, or how that moment might come back to you, not as a kiss on the cheek, but as a reminder that hope still exists, quietly waiting on the side of the road.